And we are back. This is Open Forum on the Women's Radio Network. I'm your host, Roger Moore, and it's my pleasure to have on today's show owner at Degrees of Success, Genevieve Dobson. Genevieve, thank you for joining me. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's definitely not a problem. Now, and to get started today, let's talk about Degrees of Success and how you actually got started with this business here.
Sure, definitely. So Degrees of Success is basically a student loan debt management company. I got started about 9 years ago working for another company up in Pennsylvania, and from there I learned all the tricks of the trade with regards to student loans, consolidation, how to best manage your debt. And then when the company decided to move out of the area, I decided to start my own company, and I've been doing it for the last 4.5 years now.
Excellent. So definitely a great start there. Now, student loan is really big here. Now, for our listeners out there, if you would, give us some detail on how you actually help these people in student loans, manage that problem.
Sure, definitely. So one of the biggest issues I find with student loans is that most people don't realize all of the different options that they have available. So there's 7 different repayment plans, for example, IBR, ICR, pay as you earn, a lot of plans that most people don't realize. So what I do is I go in and I actually assess which plan actually works best for them based on their income factors, family factors, and what their goals are. And then I can actually fill out all the documentation for them, make sure they qualify, talk to their lenders, make sure their lender knows exactly what they want, and get everything actually set up for them. So what I'm doing is I'm reducing their student loan payments on a monthly basis, but I'm also getting them qualified for forgiveness options, for example, which the government offers a lot of forgiveness dollars for those that have student loans.
Right, definitely, and I'm sure those, the forgiveness dollars, they do come in hand, and I'm pretty sure, that your clients, they're pretty satisfied and happy that you set this up for them and, take those steps, the extra mile to get them set up and where they need to be.
Absolutely, definitely.
Excellent. Now, about how many different, clients from a range here, give us a range, on the different on the different amounts of clients that you actually help with this, student loan issues.
Oh, sure. So, we have clients that are right out of college, from undergrad. I also have doctors, lawyers. They have very large, options with regards to reducing their payments because of the amount of debt that they have. So I see a large spectrum. I also have clients that are in their, late 40s, 50s, and 60s that took out student loans for their kids that are still trying to manage those and pay them back. And it could be anybody from, zero-income clients to people that are making $100,000 plus. It all depends on their situation, but 99% of the time, there is an option that works for them that allows them to reduce their payments, get forgiveness options, and qualify for other programs.
Excellent. Now, why do you believe, students and people usually fall into debt, when they're taking out these loans?
Well, it's one of those things where it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. So you go into school and you're thinking, oh, well, I got 4 years or 5 years. I'll be fine. I'm not going to worry about it. And so you take out all this debt and you don't realize how much is accruing in interest because in most cases interest accrues every single day from the minute you take it out. And then 4 or 5 years goes by and you're like, wow, I didn't realize I had so much debt. And the problem is that a lot of times people go to school assuming that they're going to make a lot more money when they get out of college. And sadly, over the last few years especially, we've seen that that's not the case. So now you get out of school, you're still not really making that much money, and you can't afford to make those large payments. In some cases, they can be extremely large student loan payments. So now you're in a situation where you have to get some kind of help to reduce that debt payment.
Right. And, the help is definitely great. I'm pretty sure it comes in handy because I've witnessed personally a lot of people, still paying off student loan debts, and they took them out, over 20 years ago.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, these student loans can go for 20, 30 years, which is the good thing about some of the forgiveness programs because they'll forgive the loans after 10 years, 20 years, or 25 years. which can be a big help, because if you still have balances at the end of 20 and 25 years, it'd be nice to have the government to come in and pay that off, which they do. And you don't have to work in like the public sector. You don't have to be like a teacher in an impoverished area like a lot of people think. Regular Joe Schmoes that have regular jobs qualify for forgiveness programs.
Excellent, excellent. Now, let's talk here about degreessuccessinfo.com, the website. What can we find when we go visit you on that webpage?
Well, definitely. So one thing you're going to find is you're going to find some testimonials about, people that have worked with me, that have gotten the help that they needed from me. There's a lot of videos. I try to do a lot of videos where I'm really telling people what their options are and giving them scenarios of what I find out there. You're also going to find blogs. I do a lot of blogging. I try to write about the different things that I come across so that people get that, information that they need to start to take on some of this responsibility. You're going to find a list of my services, how they work, and you're also going to find a resource page, which is really helpful. Things like, how to get more scholarship money for school rather than taking out student loans, or even a calculator that helps you figure out what your cost is going to be so you have a better idea, as well as some other websites like Sally Mae's website and the FAFSA website, and even some credit repair and score sites as well, because I do a lot of credit repair as well to help those that are trying to increase their scores to get out of some of that debt.
Right. So definitely seems like, some great fulfilling information on there. We can definitely travel up those avenues and learn a lot more about this business here. Now, Genevieve, before we go here on today's show, if you would provide us with some additional contact information, if you have any, so we can further reach out to you on any more inquiries about this business.
Oh, definitely. So, one good way for somebody to reach out to me is to give me a quick call. My number is 813-528-1102. So that's a fantastic way to touch base with me and ask me any questions. And then also my email address is gdobson, which is DOBSON, at degreesofsuccessinfo.com.
Excellent. Well, Genevieve, I do want to thank you for joining me on today's show and giving us out that information on degrees of success.
Yeah, no problem. I thank you. I appreciate it. And by the way, I do have a book that I wrote called Failing Successfully, Life After Debt, and it's available on Amazon as a Kindle and a paperback. It goes into some of those different things about getting out of debt and different ways to do so. So if people need that extra help and they want to just pick up a book, that's one way they can get that information as well.
Excellent. So definitely want to encourage them to go on Amazon and check out that book as well. And to our listeners, you've been listening to Open Forum presented by the Women's Radio Network. When we return back from the break, we'll be joined by another special guest. Stay tuned, everyone.